You know, when I'm away and I come home and I open the garage door and I see his car in there, I just feel warm all over after 25 years.
She really made me a better man, though, for real. And I'll always love her for that.
Over the past decade, Helen Fisher and Lucy Brown have studied thousands of people in lust and in the early stages of love. Their latest experiment? Scanning the brains of those who have been in love for longer than 10 years. They wanted to see if the MRIs of these people's brains showed similar activity to those who had just fallen in love. Does the mental chemistry of love endure, fade, or change?
I think that we've evolved three distinctly different brain systems for love. One is the sex drive, the craving for sexual gratification associated with testosterone in both men and women. The other is romantic love, that elation, the focused attention, the obsessive thinking of early love. And the third is attachment, that sense of calm and security you can feel for a long-term partner.
So after we finish up, do you want to go to lunch?
Sure.
Okay.
Peter Cove has been married to his wife Lee for 24 years. They have 2 children together and run a small business in Manhattan. They are the epitome of love and happiness.
My love for Lee is much stronger and deeper now and more complex than it was when it first exploded. And that's the word I would use. There was an explosion at the beginning. That explosion powered the love that has developed over the decades.
Peter agreed to put his love to the test in Helen Fisher's study to see if his brain still pulsed with amorous excitement after 2 decades of marriage.
It is scary. I mean, just think about the idea in the future that a couple is going to get married. It's determined that one or both of them aren't really in love. What do you do with that? Do they then break up? Do they go to a counselor? I mean, how do you handle that?
He's first going to see the picture of Lee, his wife, for 30 seconds. Then there's the countdown, counting backwards from a big number. And that's to change his thinking, get rid of all the thoughts about his wife. And then we're going to show him the picture of his friend.
The scans show clear activity in Peter's caudate nucleus, the area that lights up when people fall in love. But they also show activity elsewhere in the brain.
Come on over.
Oh,
Let me take a look.
Been waiting a long time for
Yeah.
this.
This one here, you see that little red dot right there? That is your ventral tegmental area, that little factory near the base of the brain that pumps out dopamine and then gives you those feelings of elation and euphoria and the craving for her.
Is that the same area when you first fall in love?
Yes, it is. And that's exactly what we were hoping for. We were really hoping that you would have activity in exactly the same brain region that becomes active when you first fall in love.
Long-term lovers seem to have found a way to keep their dopamine-driven lust centers active.
You see, that, any kind of novelty drives up dopamine.
If I bring people into her life, it just we bring new ideas. We wake up in the morning, say, "Have you thought of this? Do we think of that?" And also, we work together.
Yeah,
so there's this constant refueling of both parts, and a growing and a challenging. We challenge each other.
The news is that you can remain in love with a long-term partner that you feel deeply attached to, something that most people around the world don't believe can happen. You can sustain intense romantic love, and Peter is a beautiful example of that.
Is this all sex appeal boils down to? Hormones clustering in corners of our brains, ebbing and flowing with time? Is passion nothing more than a subconscious hunt for disease-resistant genes? Do we have any choice in who we love? Masculine, feminine. Over millions of years of evolution, our senses have become incredibly attuned to every single aspect of sex appeal.
A man and a woman spy each other across a crowded room. He sees in her things that are cues of her age, whether she's youthful or not, things about the way that people adorn their bodies. For a woman, it's the same way. How facially masculine is he? Things about social class. All of these things combine in a fairly complex way, but human psychology possesses such a keen ability to extract those cues and from them to make guesses about a person's suitability as a mate.
Our brains take us on a relentless search for the perfect genetic match. We decode faces, bodies, voices,
1, 2,
3.
and smells. The chemicals of desire may lead to sex, and lust may turn to love. Sex appeal is a combination of primal genetic and chemical forces drawing us toward healthy partners. But completing the evolutionary cycle, raising children until they too are sexually mature, takes something much more than hormones, something uniquely human.
The ultimate evolutionary goal is still the same thing. It's to replicate your genes. You do that in different ways at different phases of your life. And that often involves making a choice and staying with the same partner, as many human beings do.
People often wonder whether they are controlled by their genes, whether we're just hormones and chemistry on feet. Absolutely not. You make decisions with your life. That's why we evolved this giant brain, in order to make decisions. People say no to alcohol, they say no to gambling, they say no to drugs, they say, yes, I'm going to work harder, yes, I'm going to stay in this relationship.
The human brain, the beginning and end of sex appeal. First, it drives us subconsciously toward the best possible mates. It buzzes with chemicals as we fall in love. And then, year after year, the conscious mind resolves arguments, says sorry, keeps us together so that our children can grow and begin the cycle of evolution again.
It's a decision. People have to decide if they want to be with that person. And when they make that decision, then everything else starts to fall in place. And you don't take each other for granted.
Marriage is definitely work and a journey. It's not an overnight success thing. You got to work at it.
It's the family that you pick. I mean, you don't have any choice of your own family. You're born into it. But you do have, hopefully in most cases, a choice of who to be with once you've become an adult.